This week, we are looking specifically at converting customary and metric units of measurement. And what that means is, convert means to change. And sometimes you're given a recipe or you're working on a job outside, cutting and measuring pieces of wood or that sort of thing. And it comes, your wood might come in by yards, but you only need just a few inches. So you have to convert from yards to inches. Or sometimes when you're measuring a recipe, I have a recipe that uses cereal, and it's in a great big box, you know, really big, but I only need just a small cup. So I have to change it from some larger unit to a smaller, or a smaller to a larger, depending on what the activity is. And converting simply means to change. So this week you should have already seen attached in your lessons is a reference sheet. And this reference sheet just gives you it gives you a key of words and what the abbreviations stand for. It also gives you ways to find some measurement, like looking for area or volume. But at the bottom half, it is giving you conversions, and it's just reminding you that 1 foot equals 12 inches and 1 yard equals 3 feet, that sort of thing. And you'll see me use this during this video lesson, because everything I don't always have memorized, or sometimes I forget things, believe it or not. So I like to have a reference sheet, and it's available to you. So the first thing we're going to look at is when we are converting or changing a smaller unit to a larger unit. So I have a small unit that I want to go to a large unit. I have something that's all out in inches, but my kit calls for me to measure it in feet. So I need to take whatever I've purchased from inches and change it to feet, or convert it. And that's what this means. So to start off with our example, I just want to show you and remind you, and I hope you already know this, that 1 yard equals 3 feet. So if I have a yardstick, in that yardstick are 3 feet. But I want to take my feet measurement and convert or change to yards. Feet are smaller than yards, so I'm going from smaller to larger, so I know I have to divide. I'm going to divide by the unit here of 3. This is 3 feet every yard. So if I have 150 feet, if I put them in groups of 3, then I'll know how many yards I have. So I'm going to divide over here 3 into 150. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract, bring down. 3 into nothing, nothing. Multiply, there's nothing else to bring down. So my answer is 50. So I know that 150 feet equals 50 yards. Just a simple conversion. Another example is I'm going from inches to feet. Again, that's a small to a large, so I'm going to divide. And I hope you know this. I'm confident that you do. That 1 foot equals 12 inches. So, in that conversion, I know I must divide. I'm going to divide by this unit of measurement, 12. So, 12 inches into 240 inches, I'll have how many groups left, and that's going to tell me my feet. 12 into 24 goes 2 times. Bring it down, nothing. 12 into nothing, nothing, and I'm through. So I have, if I had 240 inches, I would actually have the same exact thing of 20 feet. The exact same amount. Now we're looking just at customary today, and this was looking at length. Now we're going to look at converting from larger to smaller. When I change from a large unit down to a smaller unit, the rule is I must multiply. So let's look at an example. I know, and I hope you do, but if you don't, you can find it right here on your handy dandy little reference sheet, that 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. So the problem is, I'm not just walking 1 mile, I'm walking 2 miles. So how many feet will that be? From miles to feet, miles is huge, to feet, smaller. I'm going from large to small, so I must multiply. So I know that I'm going 2 miles, and I'm using 5,280 feet. So if I multiply that out, because the rule says from larger to smaller, I multiply. And I want to know how many feet in 2 miles. I know that there are 10,560 feet in 2 miles. So if I was walking 1 mile, I would have walked 5,280 feet. If I've walked 2 miles, 10,560. If I walked 3 miles, then I would multiply 3 times 5,280. The next example is changing from yards to inches. So, and I should have had right here miles, and I can put yards here. So from 3 yards to inches, I'm going larger to smaller, so I must multiply. I know that in 1 yard are 36 inches, and a yardstick is 36 inches. So in 3 yards, I would say 3 times 36 to find out how many inches in 3 yards. So I'll just come over here. Some of you may know this in your brain. 3 times 36. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 more is 10. 108 inches. So if I had 3 yardsticks lined up side by side by side, I'd have 3 yards, or I'd have 108 inches. Again, this is just converting from a larger to a smaller. This is in the customary, and it can be in any form. I've just used measuring length here right now. So we want to look at just a couple of examples before it's your turn to work at home. So before we start, I just want to remind you that I'm going to use this reference sheet. In fact, let me see if it will stay up here nicely for me. Maybe. Okay. So I want to remind you that when we go from a larger to smaller unit, we multiply. When we go from a smaller to a larger, we divide. So I want to go from 5 feet to some kind of inches. 5 feet to some kind of inches. Feet to inches is larger to smaller. Larger to smaller, so I'm going to multiply. I know that there are 12 inches in a foot, but if I had forgotten that, I could look right up here to remember it. I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot, so I need to know how many inches are in 5. From large to small, I'm going to multiply. So I'll just come right up here. 12 inches. 12 inches for 5 feet. 12 times 5 equals 60. So we know that in 5 feet, there are 60 inches. Now on this next example, I have 48 cups equals how many quarts? So I have to come back over here to my reference sheet and see how many cups are in a quart. And when I look here, it doesn't give me the answer to that. So this is going to be a 2-part question where I have to figure it out. I can see that in 1 pint, there are 2 cups. And I can see that 1 quart equals 2 pints. But what I want to know is in a quart, how many cups? Because that's what I need to have here from going converting cups to quarts that is small to large, I need to know what number I need to divide by. So if I see that there are 2 cups in 1 pint, and there's 2 pints in a quart, if I can figure out how many cups are in 2 pints, then I'll know how many cups are in a quart. If I can figure out how many cups are in 2 pints, then I'll know how many cups there are in a quart. I know that there are 2 cups in 1 pint, so in 2 pints there must be 4 cups. So 1 quart equals 2 pints, which equals 4 cups. That's going to be the number I use to divide because I'm going from small to large. So 4 into 48, it's kind of messing you up there, goes 1, bring down the 8, and 2. So 48 cups equals 12 quarts. So if I needed 48 cups of milk, I could go to the store and buy 12 quarts and be a lot better than dumping 48 cups. This next one we're asked to convert is 7 pounds to how many ounces? I could have a question mark there. How many ounces? So from pounds to ounces is going from large to small. So I'm going to multiply. I'm going to look on my reference sheet unless you know it, and I hope maybe you do. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. 16 ounces in 1 pound. 32 ounces in 2 pounds. So you see what we're doing here. We're going from large to small, so we're multiplying. So 16 ounces in 7 pounds. 7 times 1 is 7, and 4 more is 11, is 112. I no longer need that question mark. I know that it's 112 ounces. Now if I'm going to go from ounces, little bitty fluid ounces, to a cup of something, that's going from small to large. I'm going to divide. So how many ounces are in a cup? If some of you are chefs out there, you may know this, but if you don't, you can look right here. There are 8 ounces in a cup. So I'm going to take from ounce to cup, that's small to large, I'm going to divide. And I'm going to divide by 8 because that's my basic unit of measurement. 8 into 24, or into 240. 8 into 24 goes 3 times. Subtract, bring down. 8 into nothing is nothing, with nothing left over, so we're through. 30 cups. 240 little bitty ounces equals 30 big cups. These are just some examples. You're going to have some on your own. If you're not certain, come back and preview this again.